So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at what if Egypt formed an empire in 2022. Now, this is the second video of my empire series. The first one did okay. I only uploaded it yesterday at the time of recording this video, so I'm not entirely sure how it went, but I'm pretty sure it went perfect. So we're going to be taking a look at Egypt as a country. Now, I want to build them a very big empire. And things I would like to do is I'd like to have like a big war at the end of them building an empire. Or the end of empires. So we have Egypt will be red, and say in a country they would attack, say Sudan would be blue. And this brings us into our first war, so let's take a look at the war. So we see Egypt push into, just go fix these. So we see finally some Egyptian troops crossing over, and they push into this sort of part of Sudan. They push along the entire border and basically are working their way across the very deserty country. So that's what it is. And at this perfect time, South Sudan decides to rise up in rebellion and declare their independence if they weren't already independent. With this happening, we see the Egyptians focusing more on their front up in the north of Sudan as they push down and eventually manage to take the capital of Sudan. I'm not sure the name, but it's somewhere along here. Now, all of the remainder of this area here is mountains. Literally, this is mountains right there. So, it's going to be quite difficult for Egypt to get across them, but they're going to try their best. So, they continue to push through Sudan until they make their way down and cut the country in two with South Sudan. This part of the country is squeezed in and eventually capitulates. After a whole lot of fighting, Sudan loses all its coast and surrenders. So we're basically going to take a look at a peace treaty now. So, peace treaty wise, I'm probably saying South Sudan is finally released, and it's got a little bit more chunkier land, and Egypt sort of just annexes the rest, I'd say. Now, Egypt looks perfect having Sudan. So, yeah. So now you have the huge Egyptian-looking empire. We're going to have Egypt go after someone else. Now, they fully annex Eritrea without even wars because Eritrea is really weak. And they now want to look on the Middle East. So, they want to expand their empire. And to do this, they're basically going to have to, to expand their empire, they want to have to go in the Middle East and invade quite a few countries. Now, this is where they get into their first sort of proper war. So, a war breaks out between these guys here. So, we have the red team Egypt signs a pact with Palestine, and they're both in a pact, and then they declare war on... Did I? So, sorry about this, guys. So, we have these guys here not wanting to get involved, neither do these. And as a whole, we have these countries getting involved in the war. So we have Israel, Jordan and Saudi Arabia all wanting to get involved. So immediately Israel does manage to take Palestine out and pushes into the Suez Canal. Egypt, who are basically what they're doing is moving their troops from Cairo and Alexandria and places like here down across, basically from these cities here across and into the front line. When they arrive, they manage to push back the Israelis all the way to the front line, and they cross over into the country. After taking the Gaza Strip, they free Palestine, and Israel collapses as a whole. They then push in and take most of Jordan, except for a tiny, tiny, tiny resistance group, as they now push into the Saudi Arabian coast. The resistance group is wiped out, and the Saudi Arabian coast is beginning to be captured. They capture all down here, but eventually Saudi Arabia surrenders as they just sort of want the best for their country. They don't want to get all their land taken off them or surrender, so they can have a chance of getting fully annexed. So yeah, they did that. So we see some interesting stuff happen. Now we see Egypt gain a tiny bit of land here, but ultimately the rest is now Palestine. Now Palestine gets rid of Israel as a whole and creates its brand new country. In addition to this, we also get a new Jordanese sort of looking empire, which is, well, not Jordanese empire, I don't know what I'm saying today, but we get a new they basically take part of Jordan, and we also get them to take part of Saudi Arabia, which is so they get a huge piece of land down in the south here, and this is part of their new empire now. They definitely gained a lot more land with Sudan than they did over in this region here, but this is a nice looking empire. I like the really curvy borders of it being all around here. They're very clean borders. Anyway, so Egypt is starting to eye up its neighbours and decide to form their own pacts. They form pacts with South Sudan and Palestine, Palestine. So they form pacts with Palestine and South Sudan, and together sort of want to, invade some. Well, not all of them want to go for it, but they want to invade some nice surrounding countries. So, in order for them to do this, they basically they build up their navy a lot, even though that Ethiopia is landlocked. Just spoiled the video, but they go after a couple of countries in particular. Not so much Somalia, but after this happens, we see them all declare war on Ethiopia and Djibouti. Somaliland joins in on an opportunity, and so does Yemen. No, they're in a mess. But this automatically brings these two into the war, and you obviously know what's going to happen from here. So Egypt begins to absolutely slam down on Ethiopia, one of their biggest enemies, and pushes across and takes Addis Ababa. Meanwhile, though, the Ethiopian troops form a counterattack which surrounds the troops and absolutely wipes them out. And they push in and take or liberate Somaliland. Somalia as a whole is very weak, which lets Ethiopia push across and cut up in different areas. The south falls along with the central part, and eventually Somalia is completely reduced and capitulates. Now they've only really got this front to worry about, but this is still a bad front. So we see them make a tiny push into South Sudan, but this isn't. South Sudan aren't the strongest country, but they become stronger. We see Egypt push even further down into areas of Ethiopia and manage to basically surround an entire army. After taking down this army, Addis Ababa falls again. This time it's complete in Egyptian hands. They keep pushing across, then hit the border of Somalia, cutting the country into two. Push across and cut Somalia in half as well. This causes Somaliland and Somalia to completely capitulate, this causes Somaliland to completely capitulate, and this is what we get. So Ethiopia uses a lot more of its troops on the front and manages to push into a really hefty portion of South Sudan. They take a lot of it, and they also manage to push over and take the capital. With this, Egyptian troops manage, to start to destabilise along this front, which gives them an opportunity to strike them where they're weak, and they attack up north. That's the only really big attack they get, as Egyptian troops come flooding into South Sudan and completely retake the country, and Ethiopian troops are completely surrounded. After a long 2 months of fighting, the war is finally over. I'm going to take a look at the next peace treaty. Now, this is a fast video. I'm doing this quite fast. So, peace treaty-wise, I'm going to give South Sudan a little bit of a border extension. They don't need too much, as they're not big, but they're moderate size. I'd say, in compared to the UK, they're about maybe a tiny bit smaller, maybe the same size. Djibouti is basically completely annexed into the Egyptian Empire, and they're really looking on what to do with Ethiopia. So they decide to do this. They basically push around and they take all of this land here. And this is a lot. This is a lot of land to take from one nation. So they have all of Eritrea and Djibouti now, and a lot of sort of northern Egypt. They then also want to gain access to part of Somalia, and Somalia gets its fair share of land as well. So Somalia doesn't get a lot, but they definitely get quite a bit, as Ethiopia is just sighing in this peace treaty. I mean, it's very sad for them. They've lost a lot of land. Anyway, Ethiopia looks better, and these two countries look quite similar. So now we're going to take a look at the new Egyptian alliance, which is which is made up of all these countries here. And these guys are quite big. Now, Egypt wants to do a tiny bit more expanding before the big war. And they want to invade two countries at once so they can basically fully satisfy their own empire. So I'm just going to do the layers quickly. And I'm going to see who gets involved and who doesn't. So the countries that do not get involved are obviously these. Maybe not you, these, not you, not you, not you, not you, not you, not you, or you. So the countries that decide to get involved, obviously, are Egypt, and they declare war on Libya and Chad. I feel bad for Chad here, as they don't know, they're absolutely Chad. I mean, they could just destroy Egypt. But yeah, now Chad's in the war. We have Egypt calling up its allies, as they always do. So we have South Sudan, the new nice-looking Ethiopia, or that is not Ethiopia, that's Somalia, and Palestine up here. So we're actually going to take a look at the war. So we see Egyptian troops cross over into Libya lightning fast. Oh, I didn't do the C. So you see them crossing over into Ethiopia into Libya lightning fast, and taking towns such as Shahat. They push along the border and into the really deserty areas of Libya, and are just managing to cut the country up quite a bit. They then managed to start a invasion into Chad, which goes successfully. Wouldn't be the answer. Chads are known for the huge desert fighting, and they managed to push back the Ethiopians. They start to push into Ethiopia, but I keep saying Ethiopia, it's Egypt. Oh my god. But anyway, Egypt continues to push into Libya and takes this place. They then work their way along the coast, and the Battle of Tripoli starts. This ends in an Egyptian victory, and they now push down and try and encircle most of the troops. Libya is absolutely destroyed as a whole and surrenders, but Chad is still holding out. I mean, not for long though. Chad loses a lot of its northern half of the country, and that's where most of the desert is. All their population's down here. No one's up. No one is up around here. All their population is here. So they do move through lightning fast through the desert, and eventually start hitting a lot of towns and people. The Chads fully retreat out of Sudan, and are now just getting closed in on. Eventually, Chad surrenders, and that was it for the last. That was sort of that was like the last war, I guess we get. Anyway, let's take a look at a peace treaty here. So I say peace treaty wise, we just give Egypt this, maybe. Well, actually, no. If I just give Egypt all of this, oh yeah. Damn, that is some nice thick borders. Do you mind? So Egypt's going to take all of this, and they want to. Jesus Christ, that was a voice crack. They want to even level it out with Chad. So they split Chad into two, sadly. But they leave a lot of their populated areas alone, which is here. No one lives up in these regions. No one lives up, like, say, from maybe all of Niger down, probably about all of Niger, all up down here and down into here. Egypt just wants the land because they feel like it. They just want the land. And they want to grow their empire. So, yeah, and they want to start building deserts and oh my god. Yeah, but here is the Egyptian Empire. This is a thick boy. Now, let me know what you think of this empire in the comments. It's a nice one. It's made Africa look a lot cleaner. It's huge, but it's. I mean, it looks like one of the. Oh my god, it looks like the land has got even bigger. Oh my god, why is it look so thingy? It just looks like off pace the same. I'd say this is probably a similar size of maybe this part of Europe here, all these countries. It's bigger than Iran. It's definitely bigger than Saudi Arabia. It's about the same size as probably India here. Anyway, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and join my Discord server in the link below. It's run like a country there. We have the Republic of Rashina. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next